The ship from
Soldiers
Earth
of Empire,
landed
White
on
Ones.
Verath
The
Prime
NSDF stands
just
for
as
Big
the
Quick
twin
Yellow.
suns were setting. The sky turned purple and gold, and the crystal towers of the capital city began to glow with their own soft light. Commander Elias Vance stood at the front of the human group. He was tall and quiet, with dark eyes that seemed to notice everything. This was humanity's first time visiting the Sarathi Dominion. The Sarathi were an ancient race. They had ruled a quarter of the galaxy for 10,000 years. Their bodies were tall and thin, with skin that gave off a soft glow like moonlight. They moved with grace, like dancers, and they spoke in voices that sounded like music. The Sarathi thought of themselves as the most civilized beings in the universe. To them, humans were newcomers, interesting perhaps, but primitive. Like children who had just learned to walk among adults. Princess Ilithara Valserath watched the humans walk down from their ship. She stood apart from the other Sarathi nobles, her silver hair falling past her shoulders, her violet eyes studying these strange visitors. She was the third daughter of the Eternal Throne, which meant she was important, but not important enough. Her father, the Emperor, had given her the job of watching over the human visitors. It was meant as a punishment. Ilithara had spoken against the Dominion's plans to take over more worlds. She had said it was wrong to crush smaller civilizations. Her father did not like such talk, so now she had to babysit primitives. She expected the humans to be boring. Simple creatures from a small planet, amazed by Sarathi technology and culture. She expected them to be easy to manage. She did not expect Elias Vance. The human commander walked toward her with steady steps. He did not look around with wide eyes like the others. He did not seem impressed or scared. He simply looked at her, gave a small bow of his head, and said, "Princess Ilithara, thank you for receiving us." His pronunciation of her name was perfect. Most aliens struggled with Sarathi words for months. "You are welcome to Verath Prime," she replied in the human language called English. She had learned it in 1 week, which she thought was slow. "I hope your journey was comfortable." "It was long," Elias said, "but we are glad to be here." Over the next few days, Ilithara showed the humans around the capital. She took them to the crystal gardens, where flowers made of living light bloomed in patterns that changed with the music of the wind. She showed them the Hall of Ancestors, where the memories of dead Sarathi were kept in glowing stones. She explained their laws, their customs, their history. The other humans asked many questions. They were curious and sometimes clumsy, knocking things over or using wrong words. But Elias was different. He watched, he listened, he learned. By the 3rd day, he was using Sarathi gestures correctly. By the 5th day, he understood jokes that required deep knowledge of their culture. By the end of the 1st week, some Sarathi nobles forgot he was human when talking to him. Ilithara found this strange. Humans were supposed to be slow learners. Their brains were supposed to be simple, but Elias adapted faster than anyone she had ever seen. "How do you learn so quickly?" she asked him one evening. They were walking through a garden of crystal trees, alone for the first time. Elias was quiet for a moment. "I pay attention," he said. "That is all." But Ilithara saw something in his eyes when he said it. A flicker of something hidden. She did not push further. She was too polite for that. But she remembered. What Ilithara did not know, what no one outside Earth's highest councils knew, was that Elias Vance was not a normal human. He was not even a normal soldier. Elias was a Prometheus. The Prometheus program was humanity's greatest secret. When humans first reached the stars, they found a universe full of ancient empires. Races that had been traveling between worlds for thousands of years. Races with weapons that could destroy planets, and ships that could cross galaxies in days. Humanity was small, weak, young. They knew that any of these great powers could wipe them out whenever they wanted. So they built insurance. The Prometheus operatives were created in secret facilities hidden in deep space. They were selected at birth for certain genetic traits. They were enhanced in ways that did not show on the outside. Their bodies were stronger, faster, more resistant to damage. Their minds could process information at incredible speeds. They could learn any language in days, understand any culture in weeks. But that was not the dangerous part. The dangerous part was what was hidden inside them. Knowledge of weapons and tactics that could bring down empires. Technology woven into their cells. Psychological conditioning that could be activated with a single code phrase. Prometheus operatives were placed throughout the galaxy, pretending to be normal humans. Diplomats, traders, soldiers, scientists. They lived their lives, did their jobs, and waited. Most of them did not even know what they truly were. The conditioning buried their memories, their capabilities, locked away until needed. They were humanity's last defense. If humans ever faced extinction, the Prometheus operatives would activate, and then empires would fall. Elias Vance knew he was special. He knew he had skills that other humans did not have. But his own memories were foggy. When he tried to remember his childhood, he found only fragments. A white room, doctors in masks, a voice telling him he was important. He did not know he was a weapon. Not yet. As the weeks passed, Elias and Ilithara spent more time together. Official meetings became private conversations. They discussed philosophy and art and the nature of consciousness. Ilithara found that she could tell Elias things she could not tell her own sisters. He listened without judgment. He asked questions that made her think. Elias found that he enjoyed her company more than he should. There was a warmth in his chest when she laughed at his jokes. There was a calm in his mind when they walked together in the gardens. This was not supposed to happen. Deep in his conditioning, something knew that. Attachment was dangerous. Caring was a weakness. But Elias did not remember those rules. They were buried too deep. All he knew was that the alien princess with violet eyes made him feel something he had never felt before. And far away, on Earth, a council of old men watched data from across the galaxy. They saw that one of their weapons was getting too close to a Sarathi royal. They did not intervene. Not yet. The game was still being played, and Elias Vance had a role to fill, whether he remembered it or not. 3 months passed on Vereth Prime. The diplomatic mission continued. Trade agreements were discussed. Cultural exchanges were planned. Everything seemed peaceful on the surface. But underneath, dark things were moving. Princess Ilithara sat in her private chambers, reading a report that made her blood run cold. High Lord Kethrin, one of the most powerful nobles in the Dominion, had been busy. He had been very busy indeed. Kethrin was old, even by Sarathi standards. He had lived for 2,000 years, and he had spent most of that time building power. He believed that the Sarathi were the supreme race in the galaxy. He believed that all other species existed only to serve them or to be destroyed. Humans worried him. They were spreading too fast. They were learning too quickly. They were making friends with other races, building alliances, growing stronger every year. Kethrin wanted to stop them before it was too late. The report in Ilithara's hands detailed his plans. Human colony ships attacked by unknown pirates. Human trading posts destroyed by accidents. Human diplomats insulted and driven away from Sarathi space. All of it was Kethrin's work. He was trying to start a war. Ilithara put down the report and closed her eyes. She thought of Elias. She thought of the way he smiled when she explained Sarathi poetry to him. She thought of the way his eyes grew soft when he looked at her. If Kethrin succeeded, Elias would die. All the humans would die. She had to tell him. That evening, she found Elias in the crystal gardens. The moon was rising, and the flowers were singing their night songs. He stood alone, looking up at the stars. "There is something I must tell you," Ilithara said. "Something dangerous." She told him everything. About Kethrin, about the attacks on human colonies, about the plan to start a war that would end with humanity erased from the galaxy. Elias listened without speaking. His face was calm, but Elias saw something change in his eyes. They grew cold, distant, like shutters closing over windows. "How many humans have died?" he asked. His voice was flat. "The reports say thousands, maybe more." Elias nodded slowly. "And Kethrin has support?" "Many nobles agree with him. They fear what humanity might become." Elias was quiet for a long time. When he spoke again, his voice was different, harder. "Thank you for telling me, Princess. This information is valuable." Elia reached out and touched his hand. "We can stop this, together. My family has power. If we expose Kethrin's crimes—" "Yes," Elias said. "Yes. We can try." But that night, when he was alone in his quarters, Elias did something he did not fully understand. His hands moved on their own, typing a message on a device he did not remember bringing. The message was short, encrypted in a code he did not remember learning. "Contingency threshold approaching." He sent it to an address he did not recognize. Then he sat on his bed and stared at his hands. They were shaking. What was happening to him? That night, he dreamed. He dreamed of white rooms and doctors in masks. He dreamed of needles and pain and a voice speaking words he could not understand. He dreamed of other faces, young men and women with empty eyes, standing in rows like soldiers. He woke up with tears on his face, and no memory of why. The weeks that followed were strange. Elias and Ilithara grew closer. They met in secret, away from the eyes of the court. They talked for hours, about everything and nothing. Ilithara told him about her childhood, about her dreams of a dominion that helped other races instead of crushing them. Elias told her about Earth, about blue skies and green forests and oceans that went on forever. But he could not tell her about the dreams. He could not tell her about the strange skills that came to him without warning. The way he suddenly knew how to disable a Sarathi security system. The way he could look at a building and see exactly how to destroy it. These thoughts scared him. They were not his thoughts. They came from somewhere deep inside, from a place he could not reach. Ilithara noticed the changes. She saw the shadows under his eyes, the moments when he stared at nothing. She asked him what was wrong. "I am not sure who I am," he admitted one night. They were sitting on a balcony overlooking the capital. The lights of the city spread out below them like a sea of stars. "You are Elias," she said simply. "You are the man who makes me laugh, the man who listens when I talk, the man who sees me, not my title." Elias looked at her, and his eyes were full of pain. "What if I am more than that? What if I am something dangerous?" Ilithara took his hand. "Then we face that danger together." Far away, in the dark halls of his fortress, High Lord Kethrin was also making plans. His spies had told him about the princess and the human. They had told him that she was sharing secrets, turning against her own kind. This was useful. A traitor princess, a human lover. He could use this to destroy both of them. He sent new orders to his agents. Attack more human settlements. Make the attacks bigger, more brutal. Force Earth to respond with anger. War was coming. Kethrin could feel it like a storm on the horizon. And he smiled, because war was exactly what he wanted. On a small human colony world called New Hope, 30,000 people went about their daily lives. Farmers worked their fields. Children went to school. Families ate dinner together. They did not know that Sarathi warships were approaching, ships flying false flags, their weapons charged and ready. The attack came at dawn. It lasted 4 hours. When it was over, New Hope was burning. 30,000 humans dead. The news reached Verath Prime 3 days later. Elias received the report in his quarters. He read it once, twice, 3 times. Then something inside him clicked. A message appeared in his mind, like words written in fire. Contingency active. Prometheus awakening. Elias fell to his knees. Memories flooded through him. The white rooms, the training, the conditioning. He remembered everything now. He remembered what he was. A weapon. Humanity's secret weapon, designed to destroy empires. And now, with 30,000 humans dead, the weapon was waking up. Earth sent its response the next day. A formal declaration that if any more humans died, there would be consequences. The Sarathi Council laughed at the threat. What could humans do against the might of the Dominion? They did not know about Prometheus. They did not know what was coming. And Elias stood in his room, looking at his reflection in the mirror. He barely recognized himself. His eyes were colder now. His posture was different. He was becoming something else. But when he thought of Ilthara, warmth flickered through the coldness. She was the only thing keeping him human. Ilithara found Elias in the crystal gardens. He was standing perfectly still, like a statue, staring at the flowers without seeing them. She had never seen him so still before. "Elias?" she said softly. He turned to look at her, and for a moment she did not recognize him. His eyes were different, colder, older, like he had lived 1,000 years in a single night. Then the warmth came back, and he was Elias again. "I need to tell you something," she said, "something I have wanted to say for a long time." She stepped closer to him. Her heart was beating fast. What she was about to do would change everything. A princess of the eternal throne was not supposed to feel this way about anyone, let alone a human. But she did not care about rules anymore. "I love you," she said. "I have loved you since the first day when you walked off that ship and looked at me like I was a person instead of a title. I know this is impossible. I know my family will never accept it. I know the Dominion will call me a traitor. But I do not care. I love you, Elias Vance." Elias closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were wet with tears. "You should not love me," he said. His voice was rough, broken. "You do not know what I am." "Then tell me." He told her about the Prometheus program. He told her about the children taken from their families, raised in secret facilities, enhanced and conditioned and programmed. He told her about the technology hidden in his cells, the knowledge locked in his mind, the capabilities that could tear empires apart. He told her that he was a weapon, a living, breathing weapon of mass destruction. "If the war continues," he said, "I will be forced to activate fully. The conditioning will take over. I will become something else, something that exists only to destroy your people." Her face was pale, but her eyes were steady. "How many?" she asked. "If you activate fully, how many will die?" "Billions," Elias said. "Maybe more. One Prometheus can destabilize a sector. There are dozens of us scattered across Sarathi space. If we all activated once—" He did not finish the sentence. He did not need to. Ilithara took a deep breath. "Can you fight it? The conditioning?" "I am trying. Every hour, every minute I am fighting, but it is getting harder. The attack on New Hope triggered something. The war is giving the program what it needs to wake up." He looked at his hands. "I can feel myself slipping away." "Then we stop the war," Ilithara said. Her voice was firm now, determined. "We expose Kethrin. We show everyone what he has done. We end this before more people die." It may be too late. It is never too late. She took his hands in hers. I am not afraid of what you are, Elias. I am afraid of losing you. Fight with everything you have, and let me fight beside you. Elias looked at her for a long moment. Then slowly he nodded. Together, he said. Together. They began their work that night. Ilithara used her royal access to gather evidence of Kethrin's crimes. She found records of payments to pirate groups. She found communications ordering attacks on human ships. She found plans for the war, written in Kethrin's own hand. Elias used skills that terrified her. He slipped past security systems like a ghost. He broke into secure databases without leaving a trace. He moved through the shadows of Sarathi society, gathering information from sources Ilithara could not even imagine. She saw what he became when he stopped holding back. He was fast, so fast that her eyes could barely follow him. He was precise, every movement calculated and perfect. He was dangerous in a way that made her understand, truly understand, what humanity had created. But he was also gentle with her, always gentle. Even as the weapon inside him grew stronger, the man she loved was still there, fighting to stay human. They found allies. Ilithara's sisters, Valora and Mirren, joined their cause when they learned the truth. They were younger than Ilithara, less political, but they loved their sister, and they did not want war. Other Sarathi nobles added their support. Not many, but enough. They were tired of Kethrin's cruelty. They feared what a war with humanity might cost. But Kethrin had spies everywhere. 1 week after they began, he discovered what they were doing. He did not wait. He did not hesitate. He declared Princess Ilithara a traitor to the Dominion. He ordered her arrest. He sent soldiers to capture the human delegation. And he declared war on humanity. Sarathi soldiers surrounded the human embassy. Weapons were fired. Humans fought back with everything they had, but they were outnumbered, outgunned. Elias was not there when it started. He was across the city, meeting with one of their Sarathi allies. But he felt it. He felt the moment when war officially began, like a switch flipping in his brain. The message burned through his mind. Full activation authorized. Prometheus protocol engaged. He screamed. He fell to his knees. He felt himself being pulled away, pulled down into darkness, into the cold place where the weapon lived. But then he thought of Ilithara. He thought of her violet eyes. He thought of her hand in his. He thought of the word she had said to him, together. He did not stop fighting. He grabbed onto that word like a drowning man grabbing a rope. He held on with everything he had. The full activation did not complete. The weapon woke up, yes, still fighting. Still human. Barely. He stood up. His eyes were cold now, colder than they had ever been. His body moved differently, every motion precise and deadly. But his mind was his own. For now. He had one chance. Stop Kethrin. End the war. Do it before the conditioning finished its work. He began to run. He moved faster than any human should be able to move. He became a shadow, a ghost, a nightmare racing through the crystal streets of the Sarathi capital. He was going to war. And God help anyone who got in his way. The Sarathi had never seen anything like it. In one night, their world changed. In one night, they learned what humans were truly capable of. Elias moved through the capital like death itself. He did not hesitate. He did not slow down. He had one goal, reach High Lord Kethrin and end this war before more people died. Guards tried to stop him. They failed. Security systems tried to trap him. He walked through them like they were not there. The most advanced technology in the Dominion, weapons that could destroy starships, defenses that had stood for 1,000 years, none of it mattered. Elias was a Prometheus. He had been designed to break empires. First, he hit the military communications center. 3 minutes, 14 guards. By the time backup arrived, the building was dark and silent. Every system destroyed. Every encrypted channel broken. Then he hit the power stations that fed Catherine's personal fortress. Explosions lit up the night sky. Half the capital went dark. Then he hit the barracks, where Catherine's most loyal soldiers slept. He did not kill them all. He did not need to. He disabled their weapons, destroyed their vehicles, and left them helpless. All of this in 3 hours. 1 human, 3 hours, an empire trembling. The Sarathi Council received reports every few minutes. Each one was worse than the last. Nobles who had supported Catherine began to panic. How could 1 human do this? What else could they do? What would happen if there were more like him? High Lord Catherine sat in his throne room, watching the chaos on his screens. For the first time in 2,000 years, he felt something he had forgotten existed. Fear. Find him, he ordered. Find him and kill him. But his servants were running away. His guards were not answering. His fortress, which had never been breached in all its long history, was falling apart around him. And then the lights went out. Catherine sat in the darkness, breathing hard. He could hear footsteps, slow, steady footsteps, coming closer. A door opened. A shadow walked into the room. "High Lord Catherine," said Elias Vance. His voice was calm, empty, like a machine reading words. "You have caused the deaths of 30,000 humans. You have started a war that will kill billions more. Your crimes are beyond counting." Catherine tried to stand, but his legs would not obey him. "What are you?" he whispered. "I am what you created," Elias said. "When you attacked us, when you murdered our people, you woke something up. Something that was sleeping, waiting, hoping it would never be needed." He stepped closer. "You thought humans were weak. You thought we were primitives who could be crushed whenever you wished. You were wrong. The Dominion will avenge me," Catherine said. "They will destroy your entire species." "No, they will not." Elias raised his hand. In it was a small device. "This contains proof of every crime you have committed, every attack you ordered, every lie you told. When the Council sees this, they will understand that you, not humanity, are the enemy." Catherine's eyes went wide. "Where did you get that?" "From your own files, your own communications. You kept records of everything, High Lord. You were proud of what you did." Elias's voice finally showed emotion. Disgust. "You killed 30,000 people, and you were proud." In that moment, Catherine made his last mistake. He lunged for a hidden weapon, a small energy blade concealed in his throne. He was fast. For a Sarathi of his age, he was very fast. But Elias was faster. The fight lasted less than a second. Catherine hit the floor. The weapon knocked from his hand. His arm twisted at a painful angle. Elias stood over him. The cold had returned to his eyes. The weapon was in full control now, screaming at him to finish the job, to kill this enemy of humanity, and move on to the next. But he did not kill Catherine. Instead, he stepped back. He took a deep breath. He forced the weapon down, forced himself to remain human for just a little longer. "You will live," he said. "You will stand trial before the Council. You will answer for what you have done." "Mercy?" Catherine laughed bitterly. "From a weapon?" "Not mercy," Elias said. "Strategy. If I kill you, I become the monster you say I am. If I let you live, the galaxy sees the truth. Humans are not animals to be slaughtered. We are people, and we will defend ourselves when we must, but we will not become what you are." He turned and walked out of the throne room, leaving Catherine broken on the floor. Outside, the capital was in chaos. Sarathi soldiers did not know what to do. The war had barely begun, and already one human had done more damage than anyone thought possible. Ilithara found Elias standing in the ruins of Kethrin's power station. He was covered in blood that was not his own. His eyes were empty, staring at nothing. She approached slowly, afraid of what she might find. "Elias," she said softly. He turned to look at her. For a terrible moment she saw no recognition in his eyes. She saw only the weapon. Cold, empty, dangerous. Then something flickered, a spark of warmth. "Ilithara," he said. His voice was hollow, but he knew her name. He still knew her. "It is done," she said. "Kethrin's allies are surrendering. The Council is calling for peace. The war is ending before it truly began." Elias nodded slowly. "Good. That is good." "Come back to me," she said. She stepped closer, reaching for his hand. "The fight is over. You can come back now." "I can still hear the orders," he said. "They are telling me to continue, to make sure humanity can never be threatened again, to break everything." He looked at his hands, covered in the blood of enemies. "The weapon wants to keep going. It does not know how to stop." "Then do not listen to the orders," Elias said. She took his hands in hers, holding tight. "Listen to me. Listen to my voice. I am here. I love you. And I need you to come back." Elias closed his eyes. Inside his mind, a war was raging. The conditioning pulled at him, demanding that he continue the mission, destroy the threat, protect humanity at all costs. But Elias' voice was stronger. He let it pull him back from the cold, dark place where the weapon lived. Slowly, very slowly, the warmth returned to his eyes. "I am here," he said. "I am still here." Ilithara pulled him into her arms and held him tight. Around them, the crystal city glittered in the first light of dawn. The war was over. The nightmare was ending. But they both knew that things would never be the same. The galaxy had seen what humanity could do. They had seen the weapon wake up. The great hall of the Eternal Throne was filled with silence. Every noble of the Sarathi Dominion had gathered here. Every screen in the Empire was watching. This was the trial of High Lord Kethrin, but it was also something more. It was the moment when two civilizations would decide their future. Kethrin stood in chains before the council. His proud face was broken now. The evidence against him was overwhelming. Messages, recordings, financial records, everything Elias and Ilithara had gathered. Everything that proved he had murdered thousands of humans to start a war. But the council was not only judging Kethrin, they were also judging humanity. "The human demonstrated abilities beyond anything we expected," said Grand Counselor Verith. She was ancient, even by Sarathi standards, and her voice carried the weight of centuries. One soldier caused more damage in a single night than most armies could in a year. This was not the work of a primitive species. "No," said the human ambassador. He was a small man with gray hair, but he spoke without fear. "It was not." "Tell us the truth," Verith demanded. "What is the Prometheus program?" The ambassador looked at Elias, who stood beside Ilithara at the edge of the hall. Then he took a deep breath and told the truth. He told them about the children selected at birth, about the enhancements and the conditioning, about the weapons hidden in human flesh, about the operatives scattered across the galaxy, waiting, sleeping, hoping they would never be needed. He told them that humanity had created monsters because they had no other choice. "When we reached the stars," the ambassador said, "we found a universe that could crush us at any moment. We were small, we were weak, we had no great fleets, no ancient technology, no thousand-year empires. All we had was our creativity and our will to survive." He paused, looking around the great hall. "The Prometheus program is terrible. We know this. We created soldiers who were never given a choice about what they became. We turned children into weapons. It is a crime against everything we believe in. His voice grew harder. But it was also necessary, because we knew that someday, someone like Catherine would decide that humans were too dangerous to live, and on that day, we would need a way to fight back. Silence filled the hall. You could have destroyed us, Vareth said slowly. Your Prometheus operatives. They could have torn the Dominion apart. Yes, the ambassador said, they could have, but they did not. He gestured toward Elias. Commander Vance had the power to break your civilization. He chose not to. He stopped Catherine, exposed his crimes, and then he stopped himself. That is not the action of a mindless weapon. That is the action of a man. Varath studied Elias for a long moment. Is this true? She asked. You could have continued. You could have destroyed us all. Why did you stop? Elias stepped forward. He was still recovering from that terrible night. The conditioning had been partially broken by Sarathi doctors, but scars remained. Some things could never be fully healed. I stopped because I love someone, he said simply. I stopped because she reminded me that I was more than what they made me. I stopped because destruction is easy, but peace is harder and more valuable. He looked at Elithara, and she smiled at him. I was created to be a weapon, Elias continued, but I choose to be a man. And I hope that humanity can do the same. We build terrible things to survive. Now we must decide what we will become. In the end, they reached a decision that surprised everyone. High Lord Kethrin was sentenced to eternal imprisonment. His allies were removed from power. A new treaty was signed between the Dominion and humanity, not as master and servant, but as equals. And the Prometheus program was officially ended. The operatives scattered across the galaxy were given a choice. They could have their conditioning removed and live as normal humans. Or they could remain as they were, but never be activated again. Most chose freedom. It was not a perfect solution. Fear remained. Many Sarathi still distrusted humans. Many humans still feared the Dominion. The scars of what almost happened would take generations to heal. But it was a beginning. Elithara abdicated her claim to the throne. She did not want to rule. She wanted to build bridges between species, to create understanding where there had been only fear. She became an ambassador, working to help aliens see humans as people instead of threats. Elias stayed by her side. He was no longer a weapon. The technology in his cells remained, but the conditioning was broken. He was free to be whoever he chose to be. They lived in a small house near the Crystal Gardens, the place where they had first talked alone together. It was simple, much smaller than the palace Elithara had grown up in, but it was theirs. One evening, they stood on their balcony, watching the twin suns set over the crystal towers. In the distance, they could see the lights of the new human embassy. Two flags flew side by side, the Sarathi spiral and the blue and green of Earth. They will never fully trust us, Elias said. The fear will always be there. They know what we can do now. Perhaps not fully, Elithara agreed, but fear can become respect, and respect can become something more. She took his hand and held it tight. We are proof of that. Elias looked at her. The cold was gone from his eyes now. In its place was something warm, something human, something that no conditioning could ever destroy. I was made to tear worlds apart, he said. Instead, I found something worth protecting. He smiled, and it was the smile of a man at peace. I think that is what it means to be human, not the power to destroy, but the choice to build instead. Elithara leaned her head against his shoulder. Above them, stars were appearing in the darkening sky. Somewhere out there, humans and Sarathi and 100 other species were learning to live together. It would not be easy. There would be setbacks and conflicts, and moments when the old fears returned. But they had hope now. They had proven that weapons could become people, that enemies could become lovers, that the future did not have to repeat the past. And in their small house near the Crystal Gardens, a princess who had given up her throne and a soldier who had given up his programming sat together and watched the stars. They did not know what tomorrow would bring, but they knew they would face it together. And that was enough.